Okay, one F, two Fs. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, make a difference. Okay, again, heavy, no. Wa, ta, ta, ta. Okay, all downwards. Okay, now can you sing as though you're 10 guys? I don't mean necessarily loudly, but big. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Don't use a ta. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, vocalize. Ta, 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 ta. Da, da, ta, 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 ta. Da, da, ta, 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 ta. Da, da, ta, 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 ta. Okay, play with that kind of voice, only more of it. Okay, now do you hear the difference between volume and weight? Okay, you get weight, or you get volume with weight, but you don't always get weight with volume. Do you understand the difference? So when you think about singing with a big sound, it's like the difference between a note, say on the bass, a G played on the G string and a G played on the E string. The G on the E string is going to sound bigger because the string is thicker. Okay? So you need to think about weight in terms of thickness of the sound, thickness of the air column, thickness of your vocal concept. That's what I mean. That's what I meant when I said pretend that you're 5 people singing. Okay? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. That adds weight. You don't have to worry about volume when you have weight, but you have to worry about weight sometimes when you have volume. In other words, you play very loud with a bright and brittle light sound, but in this particular case, very good. Maybe the whole thing now. Keep that sense of tension, okay? Drängen really means sort of sustain the tension. Have you heard the expression Sturm und Drang? It's a period in music and literature, I guess. Storm and stress. It's the beginning of the romantic movement. So lots of excitement, Beethoven going crazy and crashing the piano. That's what storm and stress. So Drängen is stress. So you've got to add a bit of. It's not polite. It's tense and it's pressing. It's urgent, a bit more urgent. Okay, and can you sustain? Bigger breath. Don't stop one note to start the next.
So with that same kind of thing, can you share how to work on having a strong dynamic through a fast passage, like William Tell, or like a lot of notes to still have a lot of good sound? Because with a lot of students, in youth orchestra where we find it's a lot of articulation, but not a lot of sound. How can you?
It's all about breath. William Tell in particular is a good example. You have to work at it with the breath, and you have to minimize the tone. So it's going to be like, it's going to be worked out with breath always. That's where you start, and that's like 90% of it. And it's the same even with bolero, where you're going to pick up a high B flat. You're going to the air is the first thing. The air is first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Tone maybe sixth or seventh. But yeah, when you're doing, for instance, in Malafide, it's all about the breath. You've got to liberate the breath. And the most difficult thing to do, I'm glad you brought it up, the most difficult thing to do, playing loudly and articulate, is to make sure that the balance between the tongue and the breath is correct. Most of us, myself included, when you get to that point, you tend to use too much tongue. And that just kills the sound, it kills the tone, and it also kills the momentum of the line. So these breath patterns, I think, are absolutely crucial to that sort of playing. That's what I work on anyway. Does that answer your question, Ken?
Yeah, you were talking a lot about, and everyone is playing a lot of legato stuff today, so
yeah.
I just wondered some exercises or...
Play the next bit. Bum, ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. That's easy. All you have to do is you've got to add the wind. And the only, when you talk about wind and playing on the breath, you're playing on a cushion of breath always that supports the sound. When you're playing at higher volumes, the breath has got to be faster and it's got to be thicker and it's got to be heavier. It's like a heavyweight boxer, the light bag, then the heavy bag. Boom, boom. Okay? The heavy bag is when you're playing double forte. So you've got to take in the breath. Okay? The punch is different than the jab. Right? The punch has the weight. Okay? It's like a baseball swing or a golf swing. It's the weight transfer. It's exactly the same with the breath. You've got to take the breath in sufficient quantity to reproduce it. If you don't take any air in, then you're working with muscle and tongue only. Do it without your tongue, in fact. Just try this. That's the weight of the air. Now add a very light tongue to that. Now try that. That's getting that. But you have to experiment, I guess, as I said, with weight. And when you're playing, just start with one note. Don't start with a whole thing, just start with one note. All that is fast, thick air. It's quite loud. You can do it. Right. There you go. Good. Now just play the first note, like E flat. Play it, that's what it's like. Just one note. Now play it now a bit louder. A bit louder. A bit louder. Okay. That's how you do it. Then you do two notes, then you do three notes. Then you play with the tell or the ride. It's all about the breath. That was easy, wasn't it? You weren't forcing them. It was just it's focused and it's airspeed and air thickness and weight and color. As I said, it's very important when we add volume to add tone as well. You don't just add volume because if you just add volume, you just get blast. If you add tone, you've got a beautiful sound. Beautiful sound. All you have to do is add a bit of heavyweight punch. Okay, I've got to stop. Any questions finally? Yeah.
One last question. You talked about being really responsive and also having a wide dynamic range. Is there anything you do to practice specifically, like having responsiveness in your piano and keys and all that?
Yeah. The mouthpiece. Before I start practicing in the morning, I wander around with a cup of tea, and I buzz until the tea's all gone. And I practice just things like this. And you can practice. What we did earlier with some of the players was play short notes. It's very important to play short notes as well as long ones, because that really zeroes in on the response. You've got to make your chops extremely responsive. So what you can do is you can break the constituent parts of the sound down. You can start with just breath. Then you can add tone. Then you can add pitch. Ta, tu, and then the articulation will vary whether it's slow or tone. But simply put, you can just do tap, 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 tap. Breath attacks, tongue attacks. For students who have articulation problems, I sometimes have them do what I call who-to. It's exactly the same activity, except all you're doing is adding a small T. Like a train starting, steam train. Anyone remember the steam train? So that's how to sensitize the embouchure. And you'd be surprised how quickly it starts to work. And it doesn't matter where it goes. It's very good practice. Any other questions? Anything at all? Yeah, far away.
Sorry, one last question. You're holding a visualizer, but you're speaking about mouthpiece buzzing. Is there one you prefer, or like, is this just for showing what you're doing?
The advantage of the visualizer is that you need a bit more air to make it work. Mouthpiece is really easy. I studied with a guy in Chicago years ago, and I had a very thin, weak sound. I had loads of technique and a crappy sound. And he said, go away for a week and play marches on your mouthpiece. I just got out of the army, so I knew about 5,000 marches. So that's what I did. And very quickly, you start to relax, and it all starts to work. It's great practice. When I go for walks, I have a walk where I walk up some fairly steep hills, and I practice breath patterns, and I do Bruckner symphonies